need to look in the mirror and face your own biases. Bigots burn things. Enlightened people read the book and then decide whether or not they want it in their own library, in their own home. Objective people can read any book without getting enraged. They may not agree with it. They might not like it. They might believe that the person's arguments or plot in the book is utter ridiculousness or unfactual. But atheists seldomly get enraged when they read things that they don't agree with because they tolerate and they have tolerance for different kinds of people. Religious people, from what I've found in my experiences, are not as tolerant as you'd think. Some are downright intolerable. And people in my family are intolerant. My own mother and father burned Harry Potter in my home, in the backyard. If something offends you to that point, you might need to look in the mirror and question your behavior. Nothing is worth burning, because when you burn something, you're losing insight. In the 1930s, the American government actually banned Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, which is ironic because the American people had no clue what Hitler was planning, which is why they were surprised in 1945 when they liberated Europe, when they discovered the Holocaust, which is a terrible, terrible thing. But because the Americans didn't have the option to read the book, they weren't aware of Hitler's final solution or his racial aims. In my opinion, having the book your enemy wrote and distributed is a vital part of defending freedom. If you don't know how your enemy thinks, you've lost a lot of information. Beware of anyone who tries to restrict access to information. These books, movies, music that helps groups, especially pre-adolescents, to grow up believing they're not weird, that there's a name for what they are, where they can get emotional support and social assistance, where they can learn about who they are before they suffer from extreme depression, suicide attempts, or complete isolation. When you burn books, you're sending a message to people that usually aren't white. I don't want your kind here. And this is not an American value we should desire to have. Everyone in America should pursue being a kind of person who is tolerant, informative, and never stops learning and educating themselves. I educate myself every day. And knowledge is power. Knowledge is independence and freedom, and it's an inside track to prosperity. Because when you're an educated in all different kinds of ways, it's harder to control somebody who understands how things work. And I've been in churches that told their own members what movies to watch, especially coming out in theater. I sat under a sermon and the pastor would talk about how The Golden Compass was the worst movie ever put out into mainstream Hollywood. I mean, it's a book, it's a movie. Like, if something offends you that much, maybe you're intolerable. And groups like Moms for Liberty, they want to burn every book that doesn't adhere to their rigid, intolerable level of family friendly. And it's all about white privilege, racism, bigotry, queerphobia. It's a clever family value way that they can appear righteous while being intolerable. And whenever I hear people wanting to ban or burn books, I immediately think they're a Nazi, even if they're not. They're behaving like one. If you burn things in a group of people, I mean, you can't get much closer to being a Nazi without wearing the logo. And it's downright un-American, fascist, and what I call morally corruptible to burn things you don't agree with. I mean, you're silencing an important conversation people need to have. And when I read things, intentionally read and watch things that don't agree with my view, I learn a lot. I may not change my beliefs to what I'm exposing myself to, but it does make me think a lot about my views. Anything that challenges your views is something that should be protected. As long as what you're being exposed to is legal, there is no moral justifiable reason to remove this. Book bans should be illegal. Book burnings are what I call very un-American. And recently, the Moms for Liberty, I think the CEO, he recently, and this is ironic, but he recently got arrested for having illicit pictures of children on his computer. When you dig deep into these hate groups, you realize that they're trying to establish and maintain white privilege, male privilege, the Christian right, the heterosexual privilege, and they want to debase and subjugate everything that doesn't prop themselves up. Anything that challenges their colonialism, their divine Christian right, their race privilege. They don't want children understanding that the people they were raised by or the people they know are bigots. Because bigots burn books. Enlightened people don't burn books. They buy a copy and put it in their own library. They protect people's access to books. They protect people's right to have access to information that is going to be extremely vital. Modern Christians burn books. Catholics back during the 1500s burned books. And it didn't take very long for them to start burning people. Many English kings and queens burned people because they didn't believe specifically the way the leader believed. Even though they both believed in the same God, if one person relied too much on no pope versus the pope is everything, they would set you on fire. I mean, Joan of Arc was basically killed for behaving unlike a woman.